My name is Jay Bridgeball. I'm a real estate broker since 1988. I've seen the good days, the bad days, and the not so bad days. My passion is to educate consumer about all aspects in real estate. Actually, I sold over $1.75 billion in real estate. Now, that's a lot of experience. I went through many failures, many successes, and I've seen many stories that you will be amazed. Not everything looks so glamorous as it is sometimes. On Let's Talk Real Estate, we will dig deep down and I will take you step by step through every process, from buying your first home to buying a multi-million-dollar investment property. We will have various people on this show. Lawyers, investors, we'll have mortgage brokers, appraisals, and everyone else to assist us to take you to that point. My aim is to break it down in such easy terms that you will be able to follow. So please join me every Thursday between 1 and 2, and let's talk real estate. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate. I am Jay Bridgeball.
And AMIT here.
And we over the past month, AMIT, we've been focusing on buying and selling real estate. What's involved in the whole process?
Definitely,
It's
Jay.
a very complex process.
It really is. And you know, the real thing to remember is there's no set rules or instructions that show you everything that's going to happen. So there's a million and one things that can happen, and we're just trying to make sure we guide you on exactly what to look for.
I tell people that it's like getting a pair of shoes or a new dress or a new suit.
Right.
It has to tailor to fit each person.
Exactly.
So every situation comes with its own unique problems.
Right.
Right, that's why it has to be tailor fit. Now, let me ask you this. Now, usually I go to the bank, right? I got my financing. I am prepared to close, let's say 2 months.
Right.
A week before closing, I'm getting a call from my mortgage broker saying, hey, well, we need this document, we need that, or we need an appraisal. And suddenly these things cannot be done in time.
Definitely, you know, and Jay, and that's it's something that definitely pops up, and we hear it all too often. So that's really what this episode is really going to focus on. It's, you know, those things that you look for in the last 2 weeks prior to closing, things that can throw you off track, or just things that you might want to know. So like you said, Jay, so mortgage broker calls and says, hey, we need an appraisal. You on the other line say, well, why do we need an appraisal? I thought everything's already done.
Well, definitely the first thing the seller is saying on the seller's side, so saying, hey, I thought this deal is done. Why are you coming to do an appraisal now? But we got to understand that the bank that is lending the money, right, they want to make sure that the value is there.
Of course.
Right? The buyer, on the other hand, did not realize that an appraisal has to be done and leave it up to the mortgage broker who just sit on it, and it comes 1 week before closing. And I've seen major problems. Actually, if you look at last year, February,
right,
when the market was hot, and then coming down later on around May month, when most of the closing happened.
Yep.
Right? The appraised value comes in of 150,000 under.
That's a significant amount, Jay. And you know, in that situation, what happens? The buyer has to come up with the difference.
And I mean, it's a lot of money to come up with. Many buyers choose to walk.
Yeah, definitely. And
Right.
then that also leads to other issues like the domino effect that we've spoken about in previous episodes.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, let's say once your deal is firm, always ask your mortgage broker or the bank for a commitment letter.
Yes.
Right? The commitment letter will actually show all the conditions that need to be fulfilled.
Yes.
Right? It may say, hey, appraisal, may say subject to this, subject to that, subject to that.
And you know what's really important to understand, Jay? Well, actually, before we get into that, so the also keep in mind that appraisals are something that aren't free. They typically will charge maybe $350 that the bank will. So that's an additional cost for you.
Right, definitely. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right. So now you got the commitment
Yep.
letter. You run it through to make sure that you complete all the commitment.
Yes.
You know, over my 30 years, I've seen this many times. A lot of buyers say, hon, you know what? We got our mortgage. Everything is great. We are closing in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
In a month, 2 months' time. We need some new furniture and we need to go buy the car to show off to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jay. Furniture, things like furniture and cars, very expensive purchases. They're not expensive when you compare them to a mortgage, but what happens with furniture and car purchases, they're actually amortized over a much smaller amount of time. So your $25,000 vehicle is going to be amortized over only 5 years. So what that does is make your payment real big.
Right. So now the bank, before you're ready to close, the bank usually do another search to
Yep.
see your mortgage situation, your financial situation.
Yep.
They look at your gross debt ratio, your total debt service. Now, because you took on so more
That
debts,
big payment, yep.
all right, it throws your TDS off, and the bank said, "Oh my God, you know what? We just pulled your credit, and you bought so many things. We are not lending you money anymore."
Yeah, and when you think about it, Jay, the buyer doesn't really understand that the bank is doing this because all of your numbers fit very perfectly before the date. After you take on an additional $500 or $600 payment, you might not be able to afford that mortgage.
Well, that's why. So the most important thing to our clients, the message, don't go and shop as soon as you got your mortgage approved. You want to do anything, wait until your deal closes,
Yeah.
and then approach that aspect of it. Because if the credit situation changes, if your financial situation changes from the time of approval to the time of closing, the bank can pull their mortgage.
Yes, and you know that's why it's very important, like you said, to always ask for that commitment, because right at the bottom in not so fine print it says right there that this is all of these items need to be fulfilled before your deal is done.
Right. So once you get that, you're all prepared now. 1 week coming on to closing, I got a call from my lawyer. Ding, ding. You know, we got, you got to come over and sign some papers.
And Jay, there's a lot of papers that need to get signed.
Yeah. So let's walk our viewers through what really a lawyer will get you to sign.
Oh, well, definitely. So you head over to the lawyer's office, and the lawyer is doing a number of things. So prior to your meeting even, the lawyer is doing things like title searches on the property, making sure that the people you're buying this home from are actually the legitimate people that own it.
True.
They're also doing things like lien searches. And these lien searches, Jay, are very important because if you have, let's just say, for example, a contractor that did some renovation work in your property and maybe they disappeared or maybe you decided not to pay them, these guys can very well register a lien against the property.
Not forget the things like furnaces. I mean, you
AC,
bought
furnace
furnaces,
rentals.
right?
This $3,000 furnace, that company can register a $6,000 or $7,000 or $10,000 lien against your property.
Right.
And Jay, you as the new owner of that home, you are going to inherit those debts as well.
Definitely, the lawyer did not do a search.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
So the lawyer, I will do property taxes.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
I've seen so much problems where property tax of the previous owner is not being paid off on closing, and then what happened? A new buyer moves into the property, and guess what?
You've got a big tax bill.
There's a big tax bill, and guess what the city says? Say, hey, that's not our responsibility. They put it on the property,
Yeah.
and you now own the property.
The property owes the tax.
Right.
Exactly.
And you are the owner of the property. So that's why a good lawyer will do all the research, and that's why a good lawyer also would like to take out something called title insurance.
Yes, Jay, very important. Now, title insurance is one of those things that is, they say it's almost not necessary in some issues, but I believe it is something that is mandatory. You always need it to protect yourself.
Definitely, a title insurance might cost about $400 or $500. Lawyer usually buy title insurance, and it's really to protect you, the new buyer, in the event of something happening.
Title
For example,
fraud.
title fraud, property tax has not been paid, and you got to pay it. Then title insurance may cover that.
Yep.
Covers so many different aspects of things.
It's definitely worth it, Jay, because when you think about it, your home purchase is more likely than not the biggest financial purchase in your life. So you might want to pay that $500.
There are a lot of things to do that. The lawyer will also have something called a statement of adjustment.
Right.
Right. The statement of adjustment is will show exactly penny for penny how your money is being spent, from photocopies to phone calls, right? I mean, to every aspect how your money is being spent. So the lawyer has to keep that record. Remember, they are under oath as well.
Yes.
And everything is done through a trust fund. I've seen many situations where the buyer, they're buying a home for the first time, and sometimes in their mind, they feel, hey, we put X amount of money down, and this is our mortgage amount. We bought for this price and we missed some money. What happened? Many of them, they don't take in consideration that it's a CMHC insured mortgage.
Yes.
And a chunk of your money might go to CMHC insurance as
Right
well.
off the bat.
Right off the bat. So a lawyer will be able to give you a detailed accounting of your money.
And even things as we were discussing earlier, like the appraisal or whatnot, like all of these small things may show up and they'll add up on these statement of adjustments. So,
Yeah, that's true. These things do add up at that point. Now, very important actually, and I would like to discuss this more when we get back, right, is what happened if I'm a first-time buyer buying my place, right, and I cannot close this deal on time for some reason. What problem could happen?
Definitely a few problems can happen on that note. So I guess we'll get into that a little bit more after the break.
Definitely. See you soon.
Great, and how's your experience been so far?
I'm loving it because this is my first year here and I was so excited. I've had so many people come, so much traffic, I'm absolutely tired.
Because of all the exposure that I got from this great event, I was able to grow and evolve and create my very own label.
It's been a fantastic event.
This is my second year.
This is a great and awesome event connecting to the community.
So yeah, we urge you to join here. It's a great turnout.
So for those of you who are not here this year and have business, make sure that you're here next year because it's only going to get better every year.
So I will be back next year. So thank you. This is so awesome.
So people who aren't here, what would you tell them?
You're missing out. Come out and have some fun.
Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Real Estate. We're just talking about what happened in closing. I'm a first-time buyer, AMIT. I don't know too much. I go to the lawyer. I sign a bunch of papers, hoping to pick up my key tomorrow to move into my condo. A lawyer gave me a call and said, Jay, you know what? The seller, unfortunately, they cannot move out because they are in some financial problem. Their mortgage is more than they sold the home for.
Yes, Jay. You see, issues like that are just one of many that can pop up. And you have to be prepared as the buyer in case something like this arises.
Right. So there are many things. I usually tell my clients that you are in a small boat in the middle of the Atlantic and you don't know where the next wave coming from.
Yep.
So you got to be prepared to handle all these things. Situations do happen beyond everyone's control. I've seen situations where a buyer is waiting for their key on closing. Their bank, in this situation, it's a real story where on closing, the lady got her money in her account all ready to close. She went to take a certified check for the amount to take across to the lawyer. The bank says, sorry, lady, your money is frozen.
Oh.
Yeah, why your money is frozen? Well, you had bailed someone 6 years ago. Person skipped bail, and we in turn, the government in turn, freeze the money.
Wow.
And the poor lady could not close her home, lose her deposit. In the meantime, where she was living, she gave up her place.
She's already sold.
She got her truck all packed. So it can create all these kind of problems, right?
Holy smokes,
So that's why it's so important that every single thing when come to closing has to be done right. So as a first-time buyer, if you're buying a condo, for example, what should someone look for, or how should they prepare themselves for moving?
Well, Jay, it's so funny that you mentioned buying a condo, because there's one thing that not one single person ever thinks about: what day to book the elevator.
Definitely. Our closing is Friday. We said, hey, Friday afternoon after 4 o'clock, we get the key. We are rushing there, open our door. Our truck is backing up and take everything in the condo.
And then the concierge says, oh, sorry, you have to book elevators, and we only do moving on Wednesdays.
Yep.
You've got all of your buddies there. You've got the truck unloaded, and what happens? You can't bring that stuff up.
You can't do that. So that's why it's very important that when you are buying a condo, before you waive your condition, it's good to see with the management and make sure that your closing day is in sync with when you are moving in, or at least make sure
you can schedule some time.
You schedule time accordingly, right? Don't give up your apartment as yet.
Exactly, because otherwise you might be in a new condo with no furniture.
Well, your furniture might be in the truck, and then either you got to pay the truck guys to store it for a few days, or drop it off at storage or some kind of thing. It's costly. So make sure you book the elevator ahead of time. Know their moving time. Many places don't allow you sometime between 4 and 8. Many good condos between 4 and 8 they don't allow you to move in, because that's busy time. Everybody in and out. People coming in from work. People going out. Every time lobby is all busy, so they say, hey, during this time, no moving. And
that's very, very true, and a good condo building will do that. Another point to maybe bring up is you can take a look at when is the right time, if you're the seller, when is the right time to be scheduling your move. A lot of people don't think, well, hey, I have the home until midnight of that night. That's not always the case.
No, and in the old days, we used to, it says that the day end at 11:59 p.m. And I've seen situation where the seller finished moving, everything has gone, moved out, to take everything away from the home. It's 9:30, 10. The buyer pulls up with their truck, waiting there to get in. And the seller says, sorry, I got until 11:59 p.m. And he sit with his buddies that moved and sit and having a beer in the garage. And the poor guy sitting out there waiting for 2 hours.
Oh, man.
Then they have changed it. Because of that, they have changed it. Said, hey, vacant possession now must be given by 6 p.m. Right? I mean, people give or take an hour or two. Right?
Exactly.
And then you can move into your home. Point of information. Many people, they can't wait to collect the key from their lawyer and move into the home. I'll tell you this story that happened about 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Those was the days of the Polaroid.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they're coming back now, right? I sold a property out in Brampton, and I took a Polaroid shot of the fridge and stove, and I had it in my file. Buyer collect the key, open the door, call me. Jay, the fridge and stove has been switched. Call the other party. Said, no, we haven't switched the fridge and stove. That's the one there. I looked in the file, took the Polaroid, photocopied it, faxed it out to the lawyer. Lawyer faxed it to the next lawyer. 1 day went by. I got a call from my buyer. Jay, call, important, please call right now. I called. He said, guess what? We came home, the old fridge and stove is gone, and the new one is in back. Said, yes, you know what? Go and change your locks.
Yes. That's very scary.
Yeah, because many people, they are fighting so much for the key. I need my key. I need my key. But there are so many other people probably have that key.
Well, Jay, the real thing is, many clients and many buyers and sellers, it could be 2 or 3 transactions down the line, and they have the same locks on a property.
Think about it. Think about it. I've seen situation where the brother-in-law was living there, and he's high one day, and he's coming home with the key, opening the door.
Oh,
Right?
man.
So change your best investment when you buy a new property. Change your locks, protect yourself, get your security.
And you know which one is so simple that I see all the time, Jay? The garage door.
Yes.
Many of these garage doors have the exact same code, and especially with the remote, it makes it even simpler. It's very easy to go to the store and get another garage door opener, but all you have to do is open the switch and flip the numbers. Very
Definitely.
simple.
That's very important, very easy, because you have a garage door, enter your home, and many people, they don't lock the inside door of the
No,
garage.
not at
right?
all. Yeah.
So if someone got the code, they enter your garage, into your house, you're giving them free access.
Exactly.
Right? So these are very important aspects when you buy a home. Another important area I want to cover, multiple transactions.
Ah, yes.
So what happened now? I sold my condo. I'm relying on the money from that condo to buy my other home.
Of course.
Now, I pack my truck. It's Friday around 4 o'clock. I pack my truck. The lawyer calls. My realtor calls, says, hey, you know what? The buyer that buy your condo cannot close because they have a little bit of financial issue.
Right.
I am panicking now. My truck is all packed. I'm ready to move. I rely on that money to close this transaction to move to my new property. And I can't do that either.
Yeah, definitely. And you see, Jay, many of our viewers may even not really understand how important that is, because in a perfect world, Jay, you end up buying and selling when you have money. That's
Right.
just how the way people think.
Yes.
But in these large transactions, you need the funds from transaction 1 to fulfill transaction 2, and then you end up in a little bit of a pickle, right?
You get a big pickle. I've seen situation that is even worse. I've seen situation, the buyer that buys a condo, they went to the lawyer with their money at 4:30. A lawyer rushes and put everything together, managed to close that deal for the buyer. He rushed the money across, right? Of course, it's in the new lawyer trust fund, but the new lawyer did not have enough time to close the other deal.
next deal.
So now the buyer says, I don't care, you got your money, I want my house, you get out of my house. In the meantime, the owner of that house did not get his deal closed,
Yes.
and he got to move out. Right? It creates a real big mess.
A lot of tricky scenarios here.
Yeah, I usually recommend certain ways sometimes to avoid these. One of the way is something called bridge financing.
Right.
Where you try to buy the home you're buying about a day or two ahead of time before
Right.
you close yours. We will talk about bridge financing.
In a few minutes.
In
All
a
right,
few
great.
minutes, we discuss what is bridge financing and how you can take advantage of that.
All right, see you
Yes.
after the break.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Real Estate. Now, today, Jay, we're focusing on a few different aspects of closing and the weeks coming up to closing. One thing that we're really diving into right now is bridge financing and how to avoid being stuck without a place to live when one property closes and you don't have the time to close the next.
Well, first thing, it's nothing to do with the bridge, okay? And the bridge team. Okay. Bridge financing is a term that is being used to bridge the difference of time between buying and selling.
Right.
Right. So let's say you sold your home and it's closing a week from today.
Right.
And you are buying another property. You want that property to close a day or two before that closing.
And Jay, tell me, really, why would I benefit from that? Because in my mind, or many buyers' mind, they say, well, this is closing today. I want that to close today, and everyone just be done with it.
Well, we just explained the problem of closing more than one transaction on the same day. Because remember, money is transferring from one lawyer account to another lawyer account. And that's just two transactions. I've seen 10 transaction domino effect.
Wow.
Because one person buy a home, the next one bought another home, and it just go on and on and on. And if you fall somewhere far in the line, coming down, it will affect you.
Of course.
Right? Somewhere along the line. So that's why bridge financing give you the, you can literally move into your home 2 days prior.
Right.
Right, and that way it works good. Now, what is bridge financing? Is that the bank will lend you money to carry both properties for 2 days.
Yep.
Doesn't work out much. It's minor amount of money to save the amount of hassle.
So
right.
basically, yeah, Jay. So what they're doing is they're just lending you the difference that you didn't have that you need from the original property.
Right, they do that most of the time, and you can get that done. I'll tell you another story. A client of ours sold their home in Rexdale. They bought a new home out of town. They all packed. Do you remember, was it a few years ago when Obama was in town and all the banks closed down downtown?
Oh, yeah.
Right, it was very interesting because now on closing date, these people could not get their mortgage. The bank closes and could not transfer the funds.
Oh, wow.
In the meantime, the other side is saying, hey, we got to close our property. And if you don't close your deal today, then you know what? We will incur expense and you will have to pay for that.
Of course.
They were short quite a bit because they couldn't get any money from the bank. You know, what we did actually is that we went and empty our line of credits.
Yeah.
A couple of us said, we said, hey, put all the money together, set it across to the lawyer, get that deal closed out there. Right, so that they can move into the next property and avoid all those costs, and then we wait until the bank open again.
Well, definitely, Jay, because it may not even just be that one particular person that's incurring costs, that seller, because like you said, with that domino effect. So let's just say, for example, there was 3 or 4 other people that couldn't close in a result of that one property not closing. Jay, that's $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 per each home that all gets rolled back to me.
And okay, let's say you're the first buyer and you're putting 5% down. Okay. I said, you know what? I don't have so much money to pay anymore. I had $5,000 down only. All these financial mess that I did not create in the first place. My mortgage broker didn't do his job properly, or somebody did not do their job. I'm walking.
Yep.
I'm going bankrupt. I don't care.
Exactly.
Forget about it, right? It comes to the other guy. Many times, that's why if you do the bridge financing, at least all the other transactions get closed.
Yes.
So you just have to worry with these two. There are many times that I have gone to the bank with my line of credit and said, Mr. Seller, this is what we'll do. You were originally putting $100,000 down. Here is a draft or money order of $100,000 down. Let's close your other deal so you can move into the other home.
Yep.
And we will deal with this. There are many situations where last minute the deal is about to done today. We receive a call from the buyer agent that purchased our seller home
Yes.
who bought a new home. Hey, my buyer needs 2 weeks extension. You've heard that before?
Oh, many times, Jay.
Right. Now, what happened? Our buyers can't sit down because the property they bought, those people went out and buy a property,
Yep.
right? So that's why if you have done the bridge financing, then at least you know that all the other transactions get closed and only this is left in place.
Jay, what I'm gathering here and what our viewers should gather is this is something that's so important for peace of mind.
Yeah, peace of mind is very, very important. Yes, so arrange a bridge financing. It's not difficult to do. All you do, you make sure that your closing date for the home you're moving in is a day or two or a week before the home you are closing. There are many advantages as well. Another side advantage that most time when coming on to end of the month,
Yeah.
everyone is moving. It's busy time. All the trucks are booked up.
Yeah.
The costs always go up, right?
Yeah, because you have a shortage of trucks, you have a shortage of workers to do the moving.
Right, but if you choose an off day to move, then you get all these things at a cheaper price. So you
Yeah, and you know, not even just that, Jay. If you have, say, 1 or 2 days to move, can you imagine the stress off of your mind if you can take 2 days to move an entire house and pack it up versus 1 day or 10 hours?
10 hours where your deal closes at 6.
Exactly.
You gotta get out by 9, right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult to do it. But with the bridge financing option, it's not expensive. It's a good idea because you save all that stress, all that heartache, all that everything you save, and you can move into your home,
Definitely.
right? Now, one thing more, Amit, that we touched on bridge financing, insurance, fire insurance. Many buyers do not realize that they have to get the fire insurance package if they are buying a home.
Yep.
I mean,
Banks are
condominium.
gonna require.
Right, a condominium. I mean, it's something that is attached to the maintenance fee. But fire insurance is mandatory for closing, and many of our buyers they don't realize that, and they don't order their fire insurance package.
Yeah, and then very much last minute, the bank can say, well, sorry, we can't close your deal because the fire insurance is not in the file.
Definitely. So I advise people make sure you go ahead of time and get that organized. Sometimes you can deal with your own company and negotiate a blanket deal for your car, for your life, for your fire,
Right.
and everything. But fire insurance is mandatory.
And Jay, another thing while we're on insurance, just not to go too deep into it, but if you are closing your home on X date, many a times people say, insurance, I would like it to end on this date. If you have a 1 day delay and something happens inside that home,
Right.
your property is not covered.
That's true. You want to make sure that your insurance overlaps. And that's why also I don't encourage buyer and seller to do things without contacting their realtor.
Right.
I've seen situation in the old days where the buyer and seller, they sold their home, they feel, oh, it's great, everything, they're getting along great. The next thing, the buyer moves most of his stuff into the property in the basement ahead of time.
Right.
The buyer got financial problem, couldn't close. The seller is mad. The buyer's stuff is already in the seller house. This, keep things apart.
Yeah.
Don't get involved in that.
Well, that's, it's a great advice because the realtors are there to be your spokesperson.
Yes.
So always employ their services. It's not going to cost you anything additional.
Yep. When come to insurance again, I've seen situation. There's a story where this home was vacant, right? And the seller says no problem. I mean, you can go in. I'm not living there anymore. Start do your little work here and there, and they do it. They start to do all the work. Guy got into an accident, right? He did not. Who would he sue? He said, "You know what? I am in this home, and this home is being owned by the other person." And he sues the other person,
Wow.
right? So that's why you don't want to give access to your home. From a seller point of view. From a buyer point of view, I've seen it as well. Guy went in the home. He spent a lot of money upgrading. Great, you're doing me a great favor, right? So he changed the hardwood, changed the washroom, do everything. Figure out that when he moved into the home,
It will be
he
ready.
got it ready for his family. Coming on closing date, they found out that the seller have a whole other set of liens. There is not enough money. Seller cannot close.
And then what happens with all of those improvements?
He did all those work and he have to walk away from it because, he can't close the deal.
Right.
Bottom line, you don't go and spend money what's not yours as yet.
Of course.
Right? But people do that all the time.
Well, Jay, like you said, these are things that it's most probably the first or maybe second time a buyer and a seller have even done these transactions. Now, when you have an experienced realtor that has seen these things, they're going to warn you, because the average person is not going to think, well, no. They're going to say, I would like to give you my keys. I want to be a good Samaritan.
We have seen this problem all the time. So what's our next topic coming up?
So next, we're actually going to be looking into a few different things. So when you walk into that new home, what do you have to look for? Closing day, you've got your keys. That's what we're going to talk about after the break.
See you soon.
Discover the incredible India.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Real Estate. It's our fourth segment.
Yep.
And what's involved in closing a transaction. There are a lot of good stories that we have to tell you guys. You collect the key from your lawyer, AMIT, rushing across to your home, put it in the lock. You're trying to turn it. And guess what? It's a fake key.
That's an exciting day, and that's one way to surefire ruin your exciting day.
There you are, you are there, your truck is there, everybody is there. You can't open the door. You can't get in.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen that many times. Many times I make sure that once the deal is closed, there are many times I actually have to tell my buyer here, let me call a locksmith, come to drill that door and change that lock right away. Right? Because people many times I've seen situations where sellers, they took a key into their lawyer, but somehow, I don't know, they mixed the key up or what happened, and they give wrong keys.
Well, not even that, Jay. There's almost, I'm sure that majority of guys these days, even though they turn in 1 or 2 or 3 keys, there's always another key. This is your home that you've lived in for 5, 10, 15 years. If you don't have one on your persons, somebody else does.
That's true. So you move in the home. What is very important? Many sellers somehow they try to keep a key for the mailbox. I mean the mailbox system now.
Yep.
Because they want to go and check to see that their mails are there.
Right. And that's against the law.
It is, but people do it. I've seen it all the time. I mean, nobody keep a check on that. They will go in, open the mailbox, take their mails out, lock it back. You go, and sometimes that happens. So the best thing to do, most important, while you're changing all the locks from your home, you can also tell Canada Post that you are the new owner and you would like to have that lock changed.
Yeah, definitely. And it's actually not very expensive at all. It's $49. You can do the service online. Very quick, very simple. And you have the great peace of mind of knowing your mailbox key only opens your mailbox and you're the only one with it.
Yeah, that's important. So make sure you spend that $50 and change that lock, right? I've seen situation where transaction closes, buyer about to move into the home. There's garbage everywhere.
Oh, wow.
What do you do in that situation?
Well, Jay, I'm glad you mentioned that because specifically, I know every single one of our bridge team offers always has one clause at the end, and it's something to the tune of your home is being transacted or moved over in broom swept condition.
Right.
And what does this mean, broom swept condition, Jay?
Broom swept condition is that they remove all garbage, sweep it out and get it that way. It's not spanking clean. That's why, again, I recommend, the bridge financing, I like that option so much. Got it 3-4 days at a time. You can clean and polish how you want before you bring in your stuff.
Yeah, because because it very well might take an entire day to make sure everything is tidy.
Yeah, because now you move, you got a key, you move into that home. It's not to your standard in terms of cleanliness. You want to make sure that you clean it to your standard.
Yeah, and Jay, that's just one particular aspect. We're talking about tidiness. Now, I remember one story a few years back, Jay, where we've had a client that it was a divorce situation. Now, husband and wife are having a divorce. Everything is being split down the middle, and many things are just being thrown out in the garbage. They've rented a huge bin. Oh, sorry, they didn't rent the bins yet. So everything was just dumped in the garage. All sorts of things. Wedding albums, clothes, all of these huge pieces of garbage, large furniture items. The inside of the home looked fairly tidy. Buyer walks in, says, okay, everything is great. Opens the garage and says, I don't know what to do with any of this garbage.
Yeah, well, that's the bottom line. Number one, take photo. Pictures, worth a lot. Take photo of the entire home, of all the problem. Send it to us as the realtor. We will also send it to a lawyer. We'll contact our realtor. Try to get something done.
Yeah, because in many cases, Jay, you can, even if there's things that are very large, maybe some damaged items or some very large items that aren't there that you can't move, and it really in truth is not your duty to be moving these items. If they don't want to come back and move them, there's ways that you can get them.
Well, yes, there's ways, but it's a difficult situation. I've seen it all the time. And that, yes, you go get a bin. Lawyers say, oh yeah, get a bin, dump everything out and we'll sue them. It's easier said than done. Because by the time you get all those things out, you decide to go to the court. By the time you look at lawyer fee and time, 2 years will pass by, right? So many times, sometimes what we do, I'll say, hey, you know what? Don't worry, we will send a bin there. We will send some people there, get everything out, dump it out, and clean it, so our client can be happy, right?
And that's where it comes down to, choosing the right realtor, because many a times the buyer and seller realtor will just say, okay, it's going to be X amount of dollars. They'll just split it right in half, and then everyone will be a little bit happier.
Well, yeah, the bottom line is, for us, we do what it takes to close it.
That's
right?
it.
That's more important. Our client have to be happy, and that's what's more important in our mind. Now, you go there, the appliances conked out the next day. What happened?
Well, that's a really important question, Jay, because also in our specific bridge team offers and all of our offers that we do, we have a specific clause in there that says the appliances should be in good and working order and they should survive closing.
Right. That's a good way to put it. To allow it to survive closing. It means after closing, if it's not working, you can go back to them. But it usually the appliances are at the state that they
Correct.
were.
Sorry. Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Yes. So now the situation is this: is that remember you're buying used the house. You're not buying the appliances technically. Most of the time they're used appliances.
Of course. Mhm.
Right, and they can go anytime.
Mhm.
So yeah, you might get them working for a little bit, but the law is that if you go in on Friday night and Saturday morning it's not working, let your realtor know right away. They can address it and you can get it fixed.
Yes.
2 weeks later it stopped working. That's your problem.
Of course. Yeah.
Right, that's how it works.
Because these appliances can really just conk out at any time.
Well, that's why actually the bridge team, we have introduced an 18-month
Mm-hmm.
buyer guarantee that within that 18 months something happened to the property in that way, we will make sure that we send someone to take care of all those expenses
Yeah.
at our cost.
Yep.
And even if you are not happy, then we buy it back
Ex-
from you for exactly the same price.
Exactly, Jay. And that's a wonderful thing, because that's something you don't really see anywhere.
No. I mean, the bottom line is that we put some skin in the game,
Yes.
right? So that we are there to take care of you, our client.
Definitely. And Jay, one other thing that I'll mention, as we're talking about the closing day, just to take a step back a few feet. Now, one thing you can always do is keep one extra visit handy. And now this is something that your realtor should really be building in
Yes.
to the contract.
Yes.
Now, if you have 2 or 3 additional visits that are legally set out, that you can go and visit the property. Jay, you can go back in the day before closing after the seller has moved all their items, and you say, well, wow, this place is just in horrible shape. You tell your realtor about it. He's going to ask the other realtor, and they're going to say, don't worry,
Right.
we're gonna make sure and tidy it up. These are just preemptive steps.
You can. That's a very very valid point. By making your last visit very close to your closing, the seller will make sure that they keep the property in good condition.
Exactly.
Right. So you want to make sure that's being done. Then, if you go and discover a problem, you tell your lawyer. Your lawyer could literally say, hey, you know what? If this is not done, let's hold back a few $1,000s to make sure that is being done.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right, so these things are always possible. That's a very, very valid point.
Yeah.
So keep your last visit very close to your closing time.
That's a great point. Yeah. And now, Jay, now that we're coming down to the last few minutes here, everyone wants to know what's going on with the market. Things are a little bit on shaky ground with a few of the interest rate increases. What's going on with the market, Jay?
The market is now, last year time like this in February, every property had 10 to 15 to 18 offers.
Sold in less than a day.
Less than a day for 100,000 above market value.
Yep.
This year, however, it's more of a balanced market. We have equal number of buyers, about equal number of sellers, and it's a very balanced market we are seeing.
Seems like a very fair time for both buyers and sellers to negotiate and get
Yes.
things evenly.
That's true. You can, as a buyer, you can now have your inspection done, being satisfied with what you are purchasing, go to the bank, get things done. As the seller also, it's good because you know that on closing, chances are your deal will close. And last February, because the price was there and go here, many deals did not close.
Yep,
right?
definitely.
We will see, we are expecting about a 5.8 growth on freehold properties.
Right.
Some properties, detached, semi-detached, townhouses that are freehold. The condo market is very, very saturated. It has been going up tremendously. There are many new condo projects that are there coming up.
Oh, yes.
And the authorities are saying that because the number of condos that are coming out on the market, we are only expect about 0.38% growth
Right.
in the condo market for this year. Right?
Interesting. Definitely compared to last year and the year before, that's significantly less.
Do you know we were doing our at our forum that we have right on Saturday? Do you know that Brampton came in number 1 top place to invest in across of Canada?
And that's wild, Jay.
That's right. So the bottom line is that it's a great place now to buy properties, small properties and big land.
Well, that's really it, Jay. Small properties on big land. You have the property for, the possibility for the neighborhoods changing, everything that's happened out in Malton and South Etobicoke. Guys, just break down these homes and erect mansions.
And the minute they do that, your value just go up.
Definitely.
Right?
So thanks. Yeah, great. So thanks very much for that insight, Jay. I want to thank all the viewers out there for watching Let's Talk Real Estate here with Jay and Amit. We'll hope to see you next time.
See you next week.